Alright, today I want to show you how I use GoPro Studio to edit my videos and export them. And I'm also going to show you how I turn green underwater video into rich colors. So let's go ahead and we will open GoPro Studio, which is already open. I'm going to import new files here. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to navigate to the folder, which already happens to be here. How about we go with this one? Okay, so they've made it pretty easy to use. Here's my video. I can go into advanced settings and then I can choose the quality. So I can make it so medium, I'll leave it there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit play and I can find what part of my video I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause. I'm going to scroll over because I already know that I'm looking at about a minute something. And let's see. Where are you, Mr. Turtle? There you are. Okay, so it looks like it's about 2 minutes and something. So let's say this is where I want the beginning of my video. I'm going to click on this button and that will make that the beginning of my clip. And okay, I'll just make this the end of my video right there. Alright, so I went ahead and liked it. If it was upside down, because I recorded in upside down mode, I can hit this, which would rotate or flip it, but I didn't. I recorded it normally. So I'm going to go ahead and add this clip to the conversion list. Now I can go ahead and do this with a whole bunch of different clips and convert a bunch at the same time, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and convert this 1 minute 15-second clip. So I will go ahead and convert all, and that's going to start processing. So this takes kind of the longest part of the process other than when you go to render the video itself. But what this is doing is taking this part of the video out, it's rendering it so that way when you go to render it in the future, if you're using a third-party software, you wouldn't have to wait all that extra time. So I'm going to go ahead and let this continue processing, and then I will go ahead and the next step would be to edit this video. Okay, now that's finished processing, so we're good to go on that. We're going to go ahead and go to step 2, which would be to edit. Oh, it's still trying. Now it's complete. Okay, so I would have said go on to step 2 down here. I was a little quick on the draw. I went ahead and did edit, and it did it at the same time. So this is one thing that's changed GoPro Studio from Cineform, is now they have edit templates. So instead of you starting with a blank slate, which you can by clicking on blank template, you can start with some of their iconic videos. So Chicken the Dog, you know, Laser Cats, these were commercials actually. The Pool Party, these were different commercials. The Dubstep Baby that they actually had on TV, those 30-second commercials, right? You can also download more videos here. There's some surf ones. There's ones that have like 50 cuts. Either way, I'm going to keep it simple, so I'm going to go with Chicken the Dog here. So that will load in this template here. So when you look at it, you notice it's broken into segments. So here's one segment, right? And this is optional. This is advertisement for GoPro. This shows that the audio will play. Here's another segment, okay, 6 seconds long. Here's another second segment, 4 seconds long, and you can scroll over and see the different segments, right? And one of the things that makes video really good is when you're changing the perspective. So by changing the perspective, it keeps the viewer interested. Here is the track, give you everything, right? They actually added subtitles, music by Blackbird, right? So what we're going to do is we have our video. We're going to simply drag and we're going to drop it into a section. So here it is. Now this video, which happens to be, you know, what was it, a minute something, 15 long, we're going to get 6 seconds of it. Okay, so I can slide this over, I can slide this back, I can do whatever, and I can choose what 6 seconds I want. Now playback at half resolution is not going to be as sharp, but it's going to be better for computers that have lower processing speed. So I'm going to go on full resolution for right now. I'm going to hit play real quick. Pause. So that way, now this will be as sharp as it's going to be when it's final rendering. Okay, so to turn green water blue and green turtles brown, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to increase the temperature. Actually, let me start down here. I'm going to increase the sharpness a little bit. So now all of a sudden you can see the flippers here, right? And they've got a lot more sharp. Next thing I'm going to do is increase the contrast. And look at, here comes our blue water. Alright, so I just increased it a little bit. You know, you have to kind of see by your video how much you should do, but it's sharpness, contrast. Next I'm going to take the temperature and warm it up a little bit. And I'm going to take the tint and turn it down a little bit. And now all of a sudden, look at what we got there. We have a turtle in a blue ocean. So I like the way that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that. Alright, so I'm going to take this video, I'm going to drop another one in here. Okay. I'm going to drop another one in here. I'm going to drop another one in here. And I'll stop with that for right now. Okay, so let's go back. I see it didn't keep my part, so once again it's sharpness up, contrast up, temperature up. And now when it is shallower water, you have to be a little more fine-tuned on this, because otherwise things turn really red. And that's a disadvantage to using a filter, because the filter is always on there. So let's say now I'm going to go with a little different perspective. I'm going to go sharpness up, contrast up, temperature up, and see I can move it a lot more when it's deeper water. And then I'm going to turn this back down a little bit. Okay, so for this video, let me go into this one. Okay, so now maybe I'm going to start there. Maybe right about there, because see, I only have a few seconds for this video, right, or for this segment. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there. I'm going to go with my sharpness, my contrast. Let me turn it down just a little bit. My temperature, right, and then my tint. Pretty significant difference, right? And then the last one, I'll go ahead and leave this just so we can compare, and you'll see what it looks like. Okay, looking over on the right hand side here, what I want to do with this one is I'm going to go ahead and change the speed and make it slower. So I can simply just drag it down. Now notice it turned the volume off of this, and you might want to do that when you hear that clacking noise from all the GoPro videos. You can just turn this volume off here, and that way you don't hear that with the music playing. But maybe someone, you know, said something or is great or whatever, so maybe you just want that little one to come on. Okay, I can fade in and fade out. I can change the level of the sound here. We already talked about temperature and tint. All right, there's a little scroll bar here on the right, so I can change the exposure, so I can make it brighter or darker. That kind of helps a little bit sometimes with making the water a little bluer. All right, we talked about the contrast, the sharpness, saturation just adds more color, right? But then it looks like a natural color, so I usually like using the strategy I already showed you. I can zoom in, right? I can horizontally move it based on the zoom, right? I can vertically move it. There we go. I can rotate it, which will pivot it, right? I can do a horizontal zoom, which kind of shrinks it in or moves it out, right? That slimming feature's right there. I can do dynamic, which will change it in and out, right? I can flip it horizontally. I can flip it vertically. If I had recorded in ProTune, which is what you want to use if you're editing a bunch of different audio sources together, or I'm sorry, video sources together, in that way that doesn't look like you're jumping from GoPro camera to home video camera, then if I edited in ProTune, then I could use this, and that will do a quick color bring up and all kinds of other little vignettes down here, crops, day for night, there's sepia tone, there's night vision, etc. Okay, so let's say I didn't like it. I can hit reset all, and yes, that clip goes back to the way it was. Okay, so we'll just leave it there just as a point of comparison so you can see the difference. Right? If I didn't like the music, I could switch out the music, I can delete it, I can change the properties here, etc. So let's go ahead and see what this one looks like, just so you can get a perspective on it, and then we will go ahead and render it. So here we go. Is I can go ahead and turn it down to about half res, so that way that's only on the playback, and it'll just make it a little smoother for me. like this, I don't like that. I'm gonna go back into here. Remember when I reset it, the problem with resetting it is I lost my slow-mo. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that up. And then there's my slow-mo, right? Okay, that's on this video that we're editing. So I can hit play. Such a small segment, it's a little hard to see it, but hopefully you saw it. And if I want to turn that a little nicer color, I can do my sharpness up. And I can do my contrast up. I can do my temperature up, and I can do my tint down. It's a little blurry simply because we have the half resolution going here. So now when I do it, okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens if you don't go through all the segments and render them. I think there was one more that I missed here, so let me click on this one. Is that right? Okay, so I noticed that the saturation and contrast wasn't quite what I want it to be. I'm going to turn the color up a little bit. Let me add the sharpness up a little bit. That helps it, brings it in a little bit more. And then maybe turn it a little less, kind of magenta. Okay, and it's trial and error. It's what's nice to your eye. Okay, so there we go. So there it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this one again. And let's say I didn't want that gurgling from underwater. I would just turn this off, but I'm gonna leave it on just to see if we can hear it. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything. I've been looking for you. That's great. Notice this little bullseye here, right? All right, we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, all the different clips, you can do longer clips, shorter clips. This is a preset clip, and they're really short, and they switch out a lot. The templates that are available, there's a lot of them, and some of those will have much longer edit pieces, all right? But I'm gonna go ahead, let's say I like that. I'm good with everything. I could add a title, by the way, and all that, but I'm just gonna go to export, and it says, oops, one needs replacing. That's because we didn't replace all the edits. So keep that in mind. If you are going to go with like a 60 edit template, you're going to have to edit all those templates. So I can just drop this in here. I can slide this to wherever I want. Let's say I like the end. Great, right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave the color the way it is just so we can have a point of comparison. And I'm going to try and play it. And as I play it, I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you. I've been looking for this reason. I can delete these GoPro ones out or leave them in. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to export, and you can see it's very happy. YouTube, Vimeo, mobile device, HD 720, HD 1080. I found that 720 really works well, and it plays back on most computers without a problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now I could upload directly to YouTube. It'll just ask you to log in, I believe, but otherwise I can do the YouTube one. But if I'm doing HD 720, you know, what I like to do is put these on my phone so I can show customers. So I will do it on 720, and then I will open up, I have an iPhone, iTunes, and then I will manually manage files, and I will open the file that I just created in iTunes, and I will add that to my playlist of videos, and in that way I can show customers a video. But simply, this is going to be 41 megabytes. It's not that big. It's 30 seconds long. I will hit export. It will ask me to save it, so I will save it as turtle, let's just say, and I will hit save. And it's going to go ahead and do its exporting thing. So this might take, you know, for a 30-second video, with like 2 minutes or so. But that's it. So hopefully this helped out. Shows you how to create a video that we just did in 15 minutes, a 30-second video that has music. Once again, we can switch out the music. It has editing. It has different segments. It has slow-mo. Anything that you really want, and you can really get this done pretty quick with the new GoPro Studio. So this is Don Silva, String Manager for Sport Chalet, and thank you very much.